This content is for informational and educational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained here constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments whatsoever by Draper Gorin Blockchain, aka DGB, the presenter, or other associated parties for the content being provided. Please do your own due diligence and seek proper counsel.
Boom. What's up? Uh-oh. There we go. What happened? Dibyo.
Yeah.
Thought I lost you for a second. How's it going, guys? Welcome to another week of the DGB Show. This is how we had it before. Something was tripping me out. Welcome. If you're new here or if not, either way, make sure you go to dgb.vc. We're always adding information. If you're an early stage startup or wanting to invest in the space, jump onto dgb.vc, fill out the form, contact us. We always want to be in touch, especially the earlier, the better. We got a fun one today because we actually talked about this last week, how we were going to talk to TURF and talk about their new product and how it's going. And so Dibyo is going to give us an update. But Dibyo, before we do that, do you want to give everyone a high-level introduction of TURF and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously,
All
first
right.
of all, thanks a lot for this opportunity, Alan. This is something that I've been waiting for a long time to come here and talk about turf. And now when we have our beta going live, I feel this is the best time. So
I'm
yeah.
excited. So we were playing with it a little bit this morning. So it'll be fun for you to show us a little bit. But first
Yes.
off, you give us maybe a little overview of what you're working on.
Perfectly. So this is Dibyo. I'm the founder of Turf, and we are building an on-demand data network which can make it super easy for anyone to start consuming data. Let it be AI, let it be data analysts, or even if you're an enterprise, you want to analyze your data without having literally not having any data engineer in your team. You can do that leveraging our platform. You can think of it like a cursor for the data engineering scape, and at the same time for the whole AI economy, where the biggest moat at this moment is not just algorithms and the compute power, but context-specific data. They can literally start consuming data right through our network by just creating an intent rather than going to multiple companies and ask for their data for training themselves. So this is kind of what it looks like from an overview, and would love to dive in. And obviously, going forward, I would love to demo it as well, the beta release that we are doing. And yeah.
Yeah. So I realized I was muted. Just from a high level to simplify that, right? So companies and folks that have big data sets that they don't want to share publicly, they don't want the different AI systems to trade on and then share with other groups, right? Can use this to have their own private data sets, get the benefits of having AI look at it, mess with it, give it insights and do whatever it wants to do. But again, not share that data, keep it private. And then if they want to share the data, they can also monetize it, right? So they choose, if Zuda and I create the greatest data source of all times, we decide, let's give it to people. We can choose to charge 1 cent CPM or something, right? Or 10 cents or $1 or $1,000, right? We can choose whatever we want to charge. And then if people want to access that data, they'll connect to it. And they can do it simply in the site, but also something, and you'll show this, they can connect to it through an API too, right?
Yep, absolutely. So this is something like, yeah.
I was just saying hi to Emilio.
Okay, got it. So that's the best part. Like if you own a data set, right? The biggest challenges most of the company faces while when they want to monetize their data is the transformation process, right? Or even if someone is consuming those data, right? they have to consume that and then transform it later for their specific use case. With us, the whole infrastructure is made in a way that the transformation, we take care of the transformation. And the best part, there is no labeling as such because we figure out a way to do it in a autonomous way leveraging AI. So yes, we are a fully autonomous infrastructure and a pipeline, you can say, that anyone can leverage to monetize their data.
Yeah, this morning when I was testing it with Dibyo, I went to a couple of random like punk news websites, connected the RSS feeds, and then started asking questions about the data there, right? And it was really fast and easy to do. The thing that took the longest was Dibyo making me wait 30 seconds so he could approve it on his end. Right? Like it was really fast and really cool.
So analogy-wise, it's sort of like GitHub but for data.
I would mostly say it's a GitHub of data from the, if you see from the sources point of view, but it's more like Copilot for data, right? Copilot for
Ooh.
data analysis.
Ooh, that's nice.
On
Yeah.
Copilot, yeah, well, and with the added benefit of having a business model on top of it, right? So if I do a lot of work collecting data and whatever, it's not like a choice of share it or don't share it. It's a share it and don't share it. And then if I share it, I can make it free and open source, or I can charge for it, right? So
Exactly.
it's a kind of cool because it creates an economy. I think this is what you were alluding to at the beginning. I don't remember if it was before we went live or not, but you were talking about airdrops and people farming and doing things. There's a land
Yes.
grab for all the data that's already public on the internet, right? Google already scrapes it all and they do their thing. But anything that's publicly available, if you want to ingest it in a specific way and give the proper instructions to the model, then you can sell that publicly available data here. Maybe you sell it for a tiny fraction of an amount because people will then just find a way to get it if it's too expensive. But if you create the tool to ingest it simply using TURF, then you can make money even off of publicly available data, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. I can do the work to ingest. We were joking about this. I always use this as an example. You ingest all of the lyrics of every Bad Religion song and every release they've ever had, or there is a really cool archive of every show they have ever played since the 80s, right? Every city they went to, every venue they went to, even has set lists for most of the shows, right? Like to know exactly which songs they play. I could do the hard work of connecting that to TURF and getting that data all together. I'm just talking to you, Emilio. It's just, this is, and then, by the way, Emilio ran a really epic venue in New Jersey for punk rockers. So his info would be in there. And then I'd be able to go to, I think it was called Pipeline or something. And I'd be able to go to TURF and straight up ask the AI agent, which times did Bad Religion play at Pipeline in New Jersey? And it would pop it and go, and then I go, which song have they played the most times there? And it would look at the set list and go, oh, Generator, right? And then it would be epic for somebody like me who wants that kind of data, right? Or let's say I'm a, whatever. There's a million versions of that for a million different industries. It could be really niche, like what I talked about, or really broad. And everyone will have their own way. But where I'm getting at is sometimes it just takes the initiative of a person to do it, right? And to ingest it in a way. And now you can create a little economy, not little, it could be huge, of people who just, their job is to collect this data and put it into the system in a easy to grab way. Do you want to try to share share a bit of a demo? By the way, if you're watching this and you want access to this, go to join.turf.network. They already got a few hundred people who are in line to get it. But if you want to get early access, make sure you do this.
Yep.
Hold on, let's see. I'm going to edit that while you're preparing to share the screen. I'm going to sign up for wait list.
Alon, did you do your own stunt in the intro for the when we go live? There's a video. Did you do your own stunt on that?
No, I actually, so when we first, it's really funny. I've been saying that we need to redo the where did it go? Save. I'm trying to save this ticker. Aha! Now I got that going along the bottom. How cool is that? When we first were talking about doing the live stream again, it used to be that we did blockchain and booze for like 3 years straight, right? Longer than that. And then we stopped for a while. And then Rankin and I were discussing a live stream, and I thought, let's do it early morning PST so that it's available on the East Coast. It's still somewhat morning, and wherever else in the world. But I was thinking to do it at like 8 a.m. PST, like do it first thing in the morning, get it done. It wouldn't interfere with kids and family and whatever, because that was the thing that bugged me about blockchain and booze. At a certain point, it was right smack dab in the middle of dinner time with my family once a week. Right. So I thought I would do that. And so that's why in the intro, it's all these, I got all this footage from Envato. I use Envato all the time. Envato is this really cool service that you can get like footage and sounds and WordPress themes and whatever you want. And you just pay like a yearly fee. And then you get the actual official license. So it's licensed content. You're not like stealing content. So I went on there and got all this footage of people like waking up in the morning and stuff like that. And because the whole point was like, we're going to wake everybody up. And then we decided to make it at 10 a.m., which isn't that early. And I just kept the same intro because at that point I was like, I'm not going to remake an intro. And so we should maybe remake an intro and do something else. We should think about that. We thought about using AI songs, like make a funny actual song, like I don't know. We'll brainstorm that.
We recently created a video introducing the whole team. So, and that video is purely the song and everything is generated by AI.
Yeah. We've made some really awesome songs. I mean, it's not like Calypto AI music good. Like we had them on, they're one of our companies, and they created a catalog of like amazing music that rocks because they know how to do the prompts way better than us, and they are professional musicians. And so then they take the audio and they do special things with it. But like Rankin and I have made some funny, pretty great songs using Suno and different tools. Oh crap! We're gonna have to get a diversion back to the punk rock topic for 1 second. I was right. Emilio's venue was called Pipeline in New Jersey, and Bad Religion played there in 1988 with L7, Underdog, and Reagan Youth. If you are a punk rocker, even if you don't know Reagan Youth or L7, you probably do. You recognize those names from all the coolest looking flyers from the 80s. Like, so if you're a little younger like me, where the 80s you were a baby and you couldn't actually go to the shows, you didn't know about Bad Religion yet. In the 90s, when you got into Bad Religion, they had an album called All Ages. And the reason why it's called All Ages is kind of like it's like a pun, because there's All Ages, it was a compilation of like it was kind of like a best of hits album, but they had different versions of some of the songs, some cool things. But All Ages is what it would say on a flyer. It still says on flyers when you don't have to be 18 or 21 to get into a venue. So it was important to us as teenagers that a show was all ages, because if it wasn't all ages, we weren't allowed in, right? So the album was called All Ages, and the inside, if you opened up the book, I have it in a closet back there somewhere, had all the old flyers so you could see the bands that they played with, and all those bands were on those. So I bet if we go onto the site I was talking about, maybe I'll do it later, we'll find that night. We'll find out more information about that night. I got to really do this. I got to contact the guys who have that website. It's really awesome. It's called the badreligionpage.net. Everyone should check it out if you're a nerd for that band like me. It's been like 30 years of fan created content all in one place. They should try to make money off of it using TURF.
Yep.
All right, Dibyo, you want
to just about to say that.
Yeah, you wanna demo us some of the product? And by the way,
Yeah.
I'm saying this again, go to join.turf.network to get on the wait list so you can get access to this and start playing with it.
Join TURF and surf your data.
Is it visible?
That's a song we need to make. I see that you're sharing your screen, but right now in the screen. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Boom.
So
Oh, heck yeah.
this is the I would say the initial version that we are bringing it out for the enterprises, focusing on creating their own data silo and helping them to analyze their data better, like exactly cursor for data engineers. Or if you have an enterprise and you want to operate on top of your data, let it be a D2C brand or let it be anything, right? So if you want to operate on top of your data without any data engineer, you can just come here, get your API key, and deploy your data agent. That's everything that you need to do. So I feel I have I have been doing some experiments with architectural industry as well, where I have given a huge architectural diagram and showcasing like, hey, this is the kind of markup data that we had. How many columns are there, right? I can just come here and within my own data silo, I can just ask how many columns. What was that? They are in the first page of the building, right? So it can be as easy as asking, like, hey, how many columns are there? So these kind of things, right? This is one of the specific use cases that I've been showing just because we had dealt with few companies that are focusing on, let's say, hey, I need to for every time I'm destructuring this whole. Let me check if I have the data set that I have just uploaded here. Let me check. Yes. So this was the exact data set that I have uploaded.
Oh, you sent an actual visual stuff.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's crazy.
So, and for destructuring these kind of data, there are consultants that are available which can actually go through these data and literally charge you thousands of dollars to showcase like, hey, this is the analysis and this is what you need to know, right? So all these things uploaded in to your data agent can give you insights with respect to how many columns are there, what all are the positions, right? Everything crystal clear. So this removes the like need of any consultant to understand and get an insight of your data. And with more specific type of data sets, like if you are uploading with your data in your data silo, you can actually optimize it and can go ahead focusing on more data you have, better our model gets in terms of inside your silo to give you better results. And if you literally want to make sure that, hey, I just have a good data set of all the architectural diagrams, and I want to go and publish this data set so that other people can also use it and can query with their intents, you can just go ahead, publish it, right, with our whatever name you have, HPA, and set a query price. So you can set whatever, 20 cents, and you can just go ahead and publish, right? So in this whole process flow, whenever your data agent is published, all your data all your data agents are available in the data agent space where you can just go ahead, and if you want to integrate those data, you have direct APIs, or where you can just provide the intent. And with respect to that particular data models, all these data can be queried even directly by AI or by data analyst, whatever it is. Or if you don't want that, you can just pay per query and chat with that data set. So these kind of specific utilities that we have been serving in terms of, let's say, giving it to business silos and showcasing like, hey, why don't you use it for your internal team and have multiple personas? So whenever you're creating your own data agent, what happens is you can give your this thing a name. You can actually showcase which model you want to use. This is a privatized model that's getting deployed for your use case. And once you have created your agent, that's it. right? The whole flow that I have shown you, that can be executed flawlessly. And it's
So
not just that.
and just to
Yeah.
double down on that, if you could go back, it said Gemini 2.5, but that's because it's a private deployment of it, right?
Yes,
Per
it's a private deployment of Gemini
and it's a
2.5
private
Flash.
deployment per data set, so that if Zuda uses this and I use this, our data isn't being commingled.
Yes. So what we did is, with respect to the data context and intelligence, we have actually siloed it, right? So the model does not get trained with respect to the data that it's operating on. Never. So we have segregated that. So even if the model is, so we cannot deploy every time a single model for a single data agent, but this single model can serve multiple data agents in a siloed form factors.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah. So these are things. Really fun experiments can be done. Like, let's say, if you have access to certain kind of data set, and even if you don't have access to some kind of data set, what you can do is you can just take American household income, let's say 2 data agents, club it together, list it again in our platform by integrating through the APIs. And then if your data is more valuable because it's a RAG implementation where data contexts are combinatorial and it can provide better insights, I would say you can actually earn more money. Uh, and at the same time, whoever is the root cause of the data onboarding, they are also getting incentivized because ultimately their APIs are also getting used. So it's a multi-fold economy that can be curated. And it's like with this whole infrastructure, you can actually create multiple combinations of data that can serve the ecosystem very well.
So cool.
So could I take the public facing data that people make public and put it into my own large language model?
Yes, you can do that. So even what you can do is you can just go ahead, take your data endpoint, right, and create another service with more pricing, and by using a different model. Maybe that model is more capable of monetizing your database, right, or your data set. So whenever you're doing it, you're just sitting in the middle where that specific AI model is serving better. But at the same time, this guy, where you have got the data from, right, they are also getting paid because your API is getting utilized every single time your data is getting used.
So you could be like, you could be like a middleman and find multiple data sets in here that combined you think do something. You grab them all and then you make it half a cent more CPM for
Yes.
yours, and it'll distribute the everybody's funds automatically.
Exactly. So all these things can be done because obviously there are multiple parameters. It's not just the data, but also the model that you use, right? And at the same time, it's just Gemini 2.5 Flash at this moment, but we are already integrating Sentient and even ChatGPT. So a lot of models will be there. So it's not just the data, but the model that you use, the persona that you're creating. So this thing can change a lot of like a lot in terms of the data this thing is generating. So yeah,
That's
this is
awesome.
kind of a sweet MVP. Like it's this is something that's gonna get everyone gonna get access to directly in our beta access at join.beta. It's at join.turf.network. So
Yeah,
everyone can directly get access to it once we roll it out.
it's so cool. Here, we can remove
Yeah.
it from the screen so we can see each other. I think it's fun because every time we talk about using an AI tool, right? Zuda, you created Dreamy. We think about going there. We might want privacy in the conversations we're having with it and stuff like that, but we're not thinking about big data sets and who owns those data and the implications. For example, of if I take that, let's say I was the creator of that 30-year-old Bad Religion website. If I give all of that data in a in a chat with ChatGPT and have it start pulling different things, I don't know if I probably just gave it permission to share that data with every other person in the world, right?
Unless you go into settings and click a specific button, yes.
Yeah, and nobody probably does that, or very
I
few
do.
people. Yes, very few people do it, right? Maybe 1 out of 100, if that. And so this is an important thing for people, especially people who have websites with content or businesses that have private content and stuff, to utilize. I can only imagine, like, I didn't even think about the architectural kind of part of that stuff, because I would think, oh, I'll just give that to ChatGPT and whatever. One, if you start giving certain things to ChatGPT or whatever, depending on the model, there's a lot of hallucination and problems and things because they're not specialized and not trained on one specific data set. But then also, you may be sharing proprietary information you don't want made public, right? If we're building some new building, like on that architectural diagram, I might not want the whole world to know exactly what we're building until we actually do it, right? There's got to be a million different versions of that in the world. I was talking with Dibyo earlier, like, what if I was writing a book? Don't want that book public yet. I don't want to train ChatGPT and then have Zuda go, I bet he uses ChatGPT, and him go, hey, Alon Goran's new book, can you give me a summary of what he's working on? Maybe,
so it doesn't work exactly like that, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but there's people who are smart enough to game the system and figure it out, right? And
Yes.
those people could
Samsung
make a lot of money.
Samsung had their corporate secrets leaked through it.
Yeah.
But TURF is amazing. I just want to mention one thing. OpenAI did release an open source model last week, 2 of them. So you can run it locally, so you don't have to leak it through ChatGPT.
Well, yeah, and we talked about this, right? The average super technical person who could run their own models on their own computer and do that stuff might do that stuff. But 99.9% of the world just wants a product to be able to instantly do it, right? They're not as technical as you. They're not as technical as me. Even think about crypto, right? To this day, how come the whole world doesn't just participate in DeFi, right? It's complicated. It's confusing.
I don't understand
and it takes a little effort, right?
I don't understand DeFi.
Well, exactly. But when your bank says deposit $1,000 and you'll get 4% interest, you go, great. If they were doing DeFi behind the scenes to get you that 4% interest, you don't give a crap, right? That's kind of the analogy here.
Oh, that's DeFi. Oh, okay. If you tell me some good DeFi sites, I would love to do that because I understand that.
But that's the point, right? Like, you are a specialist in AI and what you do, and somebody could come and pay you a lot of money to do this for them, right? Or you use a service like TURF, you keep your stuff private, and then if you decide one day, oh shit, people are making money off of this stuff, I can make a side hustle or make a full business out of my data, done deal, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. The experience, I would say, the experience matters a lot for maximum people, and they don't want to have that particular headache to operate on things, making sure it's privacy preserving and all these things, right? So that's what we are giving. Like, it's a better experience for even data consumers, and at the same time for data sources to participate in the network and monetize it without having that. Yeah.
Awesome. So I was getting texts about an event we're doing next week, and I got distracted over here while you guys were talking. Cool, I'm back. So Dibyo, when you first were coming to us, we were talking about TURF in the gaming context and stuff like that. Then it went to game data. Now into this stuff. What was the evolution from game data and gameplay to, oh crap, we could take this data and do what you're doing now?
Yep, that's actually the pivotal moment for us in terms of, so how it happened is we were into game competitions, right? And we were focusing on how we can bring on engagement to different games, specifically for Web3 games, right? So that's where the journey started. And we kept on putting more efforts in curating a distribution network of gamers who can participate in our ecosystem and can power up or bring engagement in any game. And at the same time, they can earn money by competing against each other, right? It's not just direct airdrop farming, something like that, but it's like literally like you're putting your skills to earn some money. So we thought of like this can be a huge engagement, I would say engagement as a service, or it can bring a huge engagement parameter for any game that's outside in the world, right? So that's where everything started. And one thing that we realized at the moment that we were not making much money doing multiple competitions, right? We thought like, hey, we have hosted a lot of competitions. We must have their data, right? The gameplay recordings for making sure that someone did something in this particular time frame or not. So we iterated on that particular data and figured out that the same gameplay data, the gameplay recording of, let's say, PUBG or BGMI, right? These are PvP games that you can, like, you're going to a war, you can just killing other people and all these things. But behind the scenes, a person is playing it, right? Human cognitive intelligence is getting embedded into that particular gameplay that you're doing. So we were able to sell these kind of data, like we have extracted the embeddings with respect to cognitive intelligence, and we have provided that particular data. We were able to sell that data to defense tech companies, right? At the same time, that same amount, the same data, the same gameplay recordings, we were able to trade it to healthcare companies who were detecting ADHD. So it's like action and reaction time that can be extracted from gameplay data.
The better you are at games, the more ADHD you have. No, I'm just kidding.
So that's the thing, like that got us into like, hey, we have been doing all this thing and we have generated some revenue. And what if, and this whole process flow of how we are approaching to a defense tech company, how we are approaching it to a healthcare company, then the data transaction is happening, right? Different transformation is happening, right? So this is one of the biggest hustle, right? And that we have literally observed. And at the same time, single type of data having value in multiple verticals is something that's super rare because we were the first one to sell that defense tech company gameplay data, right? So they haven't discovered it yet because they are just using physical, like it's now a trend of physical AI, right? Physical data. People are wearing suits, creating different movements and selling those data to robotics company. But we have sold gameplay data, right? So these kind of discovery and at the same time transformations, what if we can productize this whole element, right? And what if we can make sure that this whole process flow can be made autonomous? So that's where Web3 also came in. That's where AI also bunched into the picture, where we have done benchmarking and brute force intent specification, like intent servability, combinatorial power of data, combining multiple data sets, what it's providing as an output, and then delegating to a network which can actually do that for us rather than us doing all the compute. A distributed network can do it. So this is the transition that happened now. Now we have productized this whole element of building this whole data pipeline that's autonomous and can serve this whole AI economy.
That's awesome. Like anybody else in their businesses can realize all the data that they have, and so if they go through the same, go through the same process as you, realizing the data might be more valuable than the business, then there's something there.
It's actually a thing. Like I would say there are two type of people at this moment in the AI industry, which is focusing. First level is focusing on synthetic data, because everyone need kind of data in terms of making their models more powerful. So they are generating data by themselves algorithmically, right? So, but that creates an algorithmic bias to the data type of data that they are generating. And then there is all these consumer-facing companies generating shitload of data every single day, right? What if we can actually leverage those human sentiments, those human parameters of, let it be mental parameters, let it be physical parameters, and can actually feed it to AI? I would say AI would be the biggest consumer for us in terms of consuming data through our network, and that's creating the biggest demand.
I got you. Yeah, that's interesting. So instead of every ad network is taking data in real time, trying to serve you the best ads and whatever, right? So it's trying to understand you to sell you shit. AI networks all need this data to be more human themselves, and serve the best product they can to other humans, right? Instead of training themselves on derivative data, which eventually, becomes a snake eating its own tail, they get real human data.
Yeah, like so there is the school front that we are discussing inside our team that let's say today, let's say politicians and ma- any influential people, right, are using social media to
Yep.
create some biases, human biases and conveying some things to the crowd, right? What if synthetic data is actually getting dominated with respect to the AI training? So influential people can actually get all these companies to create more biases with respect to their needs. And the next phase of influential gathering, or I would say influential scope, would be through AI, because people are consuming more data through AI rather than going and searching by themselves. So it can create biases within you.
Oh, for sure, right? If it's it's like people liking Google versus liking something else versus liking something else on their search results, except for this could do it on a really different scale, right? Like this could go,
Yeah.
uh, uh, it could be biased against developers in India, right? And it can go, with very subtly suggest, generally working with development houses in Ukraine produce better results, right? They don't have to say India sucks, but they could just send somebody somewhere else, right? And just inherently do some things that people wouldn't even realize that happens everywhere, probably in some way, but the interface feels like it's supposed to be agnostic, right? Like it's supposed to be evolved, but it's really not. And that's an interesting thought. I remember hearing somebody, they were joking around about AI, and they're like, I'm going to put out all this content on my own personal website and social media and whatever, to so that AI trains on me and thinks I'm one of the good guys, so that one day when they take over, they go, oh, Dibyo was a good guy. He tried to help AI and was nice to the robots and whatever. And it's kind of interesting because think about that. Like people probably are doing this at a mass scale, right? Like creating all sorts of content websites about themselves being something special, like a politician or something. And then to a robot who doesn't really know the context fully, 20 years from now, you go, who was the greatest expert in this topic, whatever. And the AI was trained on thousands of pages of Zuda is the greatest wizard of all time, right? And it thinks that, right? Well, we all know that's true, but if it wasn't, then it would be a thing, right? It's there's some weird things, kind of like SEO back in the day. SEO doesn't exist, but I'm sure there's a version of it.
SEO still exists.
Yeah, but it used to be, I mean, in the same way it was before. Before, it used to be create quality content about a subject. And the more of it you make, the more you will be the expert. So if I create 1,000 pages of quotes, Alon Gorin quotes related to real estate, then I'm a real estate expert, because when you search real estate professional on Google, you'll find me, right? But you and I know that we could ingest every piece of content related to real estate on the internet, have AI rewrite it in 4 seconds, and then repost it and have every single one have a quote by one of us on that page, right? And post 5,000 pages of content on the internet tomorrow, or 10, 15 minutes from now, right?
So Google wants it to be like at least 10% human writing.
How do they know? What if I'm using one of those open source tools and I throw in some monkey wrenches where I go, every 150th word make a spelling mistake, use language that sounds like a California surfer dude, but spell things like they do in England, so with S's instead of Z's, just some weird shit like that throws it off.
Like you said, 99.9% of people will only do a certain thing until they think they can catch that amount.
Yeah,
or just
copy
pasting.
Yeah. But if we're a little more sophisticated and we try really hard, then we can do it, right?
Yeah.
And people are doing it.
There is this thing, just so you mentioned SEO, right? There is this thing that's standing out these days. It's called GEO. It's called Generative Engine Optimization. So you can actually put down your data in AI in a manner that it understands and can start promoting you in other chats as well. So that's something that's happening these days.
So you put your data into AI, you ask it the right questions, you say the right things, you say, look at this press release that my company just put out as the expert in real estate, blah, blah, blah. And then it will get eventually trained enough times with things like that, that when Dibyo goes, I'm looking for an expert in real estate, it'll suggest me.
Yep, exactly.
That's genius and diabolical.
That's exactly how it works.
So what you guys are saying is I should talk to AI about myself more and pump me up.
Well, there's also Elio, where it searches, depends what site, but Bing or Google, and tries to find things that are high quality and then brings them in as a suggestion.
So if you still are have a high quality content rating and you're high up on the Google results, it'll give you preference.
Yes.
I mean, that makes sense because, right, if you're a brand new service, you want to take a existing trusted service and have them be your be your proof at the beginning until you get your bearings. That's cool. So Dibyo, going back to what TURF.network is doing now, are there any specific kinds of companies or people you want to be testing it out right now? Do you want engineers to be testing it? Do you want just individuals to kind of do the weird random use cases like I was just talking about, punk rock tour promoter or a architect or something like that? Imagine being one of those people who's an architect, like Dibyo was just showing, that makes like $1,000 an hour to go over that stuff, would normally spend like 6 hours looking at that thing and making a report and having it spit out the data for the report in like 30 seconds and then finish their work in like 15 minutes.
That's something, right? I would say at this moment, I'm purely focusing on even enterprises or any kind of consumer brand who, if they don't have a data engineering team, that's the best kind of people that we can cater. And even if they have a data engineering team, they can actually equip them with our infra, right? So our platform can be a co-pilot for them to analyze any kind of data. Have multiple sources, like put down your Google Analytics API, put down, let's say, heat maps that you have, put down all the POS data, all the merchants data, right? And analyze. Maybe your food brand needs a new menu because 90% of the things are not getting utilized. Maybe you can actually optimize your raw materials, right? So these kind of insights, I would say, can be done, and it's easily accessible with TURF. So till before this, I would say, obviously, you need to keep a data engineering team or whatever that you need to do in order to get those insights. Now we can provide it in just few clicks. Why don't you use it, right? All these data consumers brand, like not data consumer brand, but consumer brands who are actually generating a lot of data, it can be their insights can be valuable for them, and at the same time, it can be valuable for others. You can monetize it if you want to, right? Big companies, I would say, in India, there is a quick commerce company called Zepto. Like they deliver things to you in 5 minutes. So
great.
even a PlayStation. So these kind of companies are having an in-house product. They're productizing their whole business intelligence team. They name it like Zepto Atom. Uber has it. Like biggest companies have it. In small scale as well, you can do it using our platform. So where you don't have to think about creating a team, creating a product out of it, right? So I'm purely focusing on more consumer brands to use it at this moment. But at the same time, if someone wants to curate their own data set and can see that, hey, I can monetize it with the pure aspect of, hey, this data set can be valuable for anyone or it can be valuable for AI that we are partnering up with, because specialized agents are getting partnered with us and will be consuming data through us. So if they feel like, hey, I have a very curated set of data, I want to monetize it without any headache, come here, build your data agent, boom, that's it.
Like we were talking, we were talking about how I was using the Lunar Crush direct connection to Claude to put out some things. But I can imagine taking that, having that in your system, connecting it to other data sets, or giving it really specific personalities or whatever. We joked about Brobot, right? But like, for example, if I want a trading bot or a bot that tweets automatic things depending on what's going on with Lunar Crush data and things like that, I would have to program something that I don't know how to program. But through this setup, I can make that data available to every single person who wants to utilize it, and any person who wants to build on top of it or get certain insights. And I might be using it every day to get Dolomite data, but there's 10,000 plus other coins that exist that other people want the data for. So why not make it available for them without them having to do an API connection to Lunar Crush, to their AI tool, to their thing? And by the way, they might want to do it privately. They might want it to not look like it was done by AI. They might not want to share their insights and data with everyone in the world. And so you guys enable that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's let's say it can be even more better. Like let's say if you have Lunar Crush APIs, right? If you have CoinMarketCap APIs, and maybe the POC that we are trying to do with that on-chain data, right? From where to where the volume is moving, right? With respect to different protocols. Let's say these three levels of APIs can be budged into a single data agent, and you can actually utilize that and have the power of all these three data points to give you better insights without having a setup or without having anything, where you can actually plug in multiple data sources and utilize it for yourself. So how the market sentiment is working with CoinMarketCap, then figure out which coins can be relevant, and then get the social data from Lunar Crush, and then understand like, hey, is the volume real? Why don't I check on-chain with respect to the data that's it's generating, and then give you a comprehensive report. So that's the power I'm talking about.
Yeah, stacking these things and having it automated is the killer app in this particular context, because you could do all these different things. And that's something that I could do, right? If I connect a bunch of sources to Claude or whatever, but it's not an easy thing for the average person to do. It's not even an easy thing for me to do. And then you do have to go to your AI agent, ask it to do each step along the way of what Dibyo is doing, unless you really want to program something and build something, and then you need to be an engineer, right? You can't, with the technical abilities I have, I would never be able to do that. It would take me a year to build or figure out myself, but not anymore. And any person who can contribute data to that stream, right, can monetize that data, right? Rivet that powers RPC connections, right? They could be the one providing the blockchain data real time, whatever. And that costs money, right? It does cost money to ping the network and figure that stuff out. And so they could monetize that. And Lunar Crush could use their data, monetize it. And then a different group, whether it's CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, or whatever, which that data might be available on Lunar Crush anyway, so you might not need a secondary source, but there might, or a third source, but you might for other reasons, right? There might be a centralized exchange that you want to connect with this whole thing,
Right.
And everything else. It's really cool. I know we're all crypto nerds, so the use case fell there, but there's got to be so many examples of it. I can think back to my dad had a shop that rebuilt auto parts when I was growing up. You know how we decided if certain auto parts were on the shelf or not? My dad, off the top of his head, would go, "Oh, this is a common starter that we always sell. So get that starter and that alternator and make sure there's 2 or 3 always on the shelf," right? We never looked at a database and went, what are the top selling products that we always sell the most of? It's just like what he remembers, right? And what's available. And that's it. Like that every small business runs this way. And I can imagine if we had the tools that we do today with some of these things, we could create all sorts of analysis, make decisions, and make every one of our family businesses we might have grown up with or utilized in our own hometown more efficient and more profitable. And that's good for everyone. That means more jobs. That means people are making money. That means people stay in business. That means they can maybe compete with people who come in, like, I don't know, Target or Walmart come into a town and everything goes out of business, right? All these tools help everyone compete and create new opportunities. It's fun stuff.
Yeah, it's this whole data industry is a multi-fold step, like cross-generating multiple revenue streams and at the same time generating multiple value from a single type of data set. So yeah, that's something.
Actually,
really cool.
Target is one of the few stores I can go to without being worried about health issues because there's only like 7 people in the store last time I went there.
Yeah, because everyone buying shit online nowadays, right? From Target online or ordering it or Amazon or whatever. But that's funny and interesting. What I was gonna say is, what's up? I was gonna ask you, Zuda. Some of the things that you're doing on Dreamy, right, are meant to like that calming thing, and it's kind of meditation and stuff like that. That's a really specific product, right? But how much is public? Like if I go and talk to it about things and stuff like that, is my conversation private? Is it anonymized? What happens? And
the positive part is I just bought our own big server, so everything will be, and so we won't be using third parties anymore. And so we'll stay on our server. But right now, as of this second, what happens is if you choose the private mode on our system, it stays private on our server, what you're saying, but it goes to Anthropic.
You muted.
Or Dreamy goes to OpenAI. Serene goes to OpenAI. The meditation stuff goes to OpenAI. And so what I'm fixing is getting rid of that and just keeping it all on our servers. So right now, that is the issue.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a huge issue, right? But I'm just thinking, I wonder if somebody used it for long periods of time, gave it private information, if that's a thing. But the thing is, those are different tools, which, by the way, I was going to mention this at the beginning. Rankin isn't with us today, and Nate as well. A bunch of our team members are in Vegas for the Valuation Expo, or Val Expo. It's a conference that revolves around people who do appraisals for homes. And that's because one of our companies, Ivory, is there presenting. Ivory is spelled AIVRE. It's AI valuation of real estate. They do a really, really specific thing, right? So it makes sense for them to have a whole product for every single person who is a appraisal to do this stuff. But they might collect a ton of data, and they might be able to monetize that data in other ways using something like TURF in the future, right? Or appraisers have to comply with a really specific form, or else the people can't get a loan from the government. So it doesn't make sense necessarily for somebody to build it on TURF. But where I'm getting at is that there's all these different AI solutions for specific things, and the average person using the average AI solution doesn't need TURF, right? But specialists needing to keep their data private or wanting to monetize their valuable data can provide it and then give it to those people, right? In certain ways, right? Like somebody who has certain data for homes across the country could use TURF, put it in there, keep it private, monetize it, and then Ivory could ingest that data and pay for it, right? They could take that endpoint. And so where I'm getting at is there's so many pieces of this, of the future, right? It's kind of like we always would say about Web3, like you don't know what's happening behind the scenes necessarily. And you don't need to know, right? Like if you're playing a game and it's utilizing Tezos behind the scenes, or utilizing Etherlink behind the scenes, or utilizing Polygon behind the scenes, most players won't care in the future. They just care that it works. The same way we don't care if the website we're using used JavaScript or some other service behind the scenes. It just freaking worked, right? And the game worked and the website worked and whatever. And I think that's what's going to happen in the future, but there needs to be rails for that, right? There's rails for if I go on Robinhood and I want to buy a share of a stock on one stock exchange, I can do it. If I want to buy a share of a stock on a different stock exchange, I can do it, right? Does Robinhood connect directly to NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange and the Deutsche Börse and the London Stock Exchange? No, they connect to one clearinghouse, and they have API connections via different products or directly to those places, right? The future for data brokerages and things like that are going to be the same. And TURF's going to own that. Right? And Dreamy is going to kick ass to help people on the front end. And they might pull some data from TURF, they might not, right? If they need external data, it makes a lot more sense for the average consumer company to connect directly to one source that gives access versus having to maintain and babysit connections to a million different data sources, right? That's how the financial markets work. That's how most markets work. So this is awesome, guys. Any last words or thoughts? Because we're actually getting over time now.
Can I say 2 sentences on Dreamy?
Yeah.
So I'm not great at marketing, at least I don't think so. But I'm having someone wear a shirt that promotes Dreamy at their high school. And I am also considering radio ads, and I'm potentially sponsoring a Substack.
Who listens to the radio? Have you listened to like the radio in
radio? Actually, the data is far higher than you think. 1834 still listens to it because it's the default in cars.
Don't people just instantly connect their phones and just like put
Some
on
do,
Apple
but
Music or Spotify?
There's still a decent amount that listen to the radio.
That's cool.
I've been going over the data.
Let's go over the data after you do like a test thing and see how many people come to the site and see if there's if it's valuable. That'll be that would actually be a fun thing to learn, like these old school things. Because like people in Web3, for example, one of the biggest problems is that they go, we're Web3, we're decentralized. You connect your wallet and that's it. And the most successful people in Web3 have at least a place for people to give their email address, because still to this day, the highest engagement rate for, or maybe not engagement rate, but the highest, I think engagement rate is email, right? Text is important too, but text is more expensive. And has to be really, really signed up for, right? It has to be specialized. You can't just text a whole newsletter worth of content. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Let's hang out. Let's next week talk a little bit about distribution and marketing and ideas for that.
Like
that
$1 radio ads versus $10 radio ads. Yeah.
You know what I wanted to do the other day? I got some ad, and I'm wondering if it's a successful ad, but it reminded me of something. And I know we're going over time, so I'll be quick. I got an ad for like, I had no idea how cheap it would be to get a billboard in my town. And it was like an ad for like a billboard ad network where you could like pick a city and pick a place, and it'll throw you on a digital billboard or something. And it reminded me of back in the day when a sponsor of our conference gave us part of the negotiation to lower the cost of sponsorship. They said they'd give us a few of those ads on the NASDAQ billboard in the New York, in Times Square. And I went around asking people after our logo was on that billboard, how much they thought we paid for it. And the average person said they thought we paid $10,000 for that ad. And it was if you paid full price, it was in the hundreds of dollars, because it only goes up on the billboard for like 10 seconds. And so the actual audience is tiny. Even if everyone in Times Square was looking at it in that moment, 1,000 people saw it, it's still nothing, right? Like
it costs $45 to $75 now for Times Square.
Damn.
Really?
I really thought like it must cost 5,000 at least.
45, I think really, really high quality ones are 200.
The thing is if you do it during certain events, it's certain amount. But the whole thing is they go up on there, and there's a mounted camera on the other side of the place that just takes a picture so that you have proof.
Yes.
But that picture is good for social media, right? It's think about this. Like you could compare it, go like, if I spent $200 promoting a post on LinkedIn versus I paid $200 to get that billboard and post that on LinkedIn, which one would get me more engagement? We should test shit like that out. But I bet you the billboard gets more engagement because it feels like some kind of validation to the average person. Like, wow, what an accomplishment. But the accomplishment, if you're cynical and you know the truth, you're like, the accomplishment is Zuda paid $200, right? But it's still cool, and it gets more engagement. And that's just an interesting kind of marketing hack or mindset you have to have. And that's what I was saying about the radio thing is, who knows, maybe it will get engagement. Maybe having a video of you sitting in a car going, oh my God, my ad was played on the radio. How cool. That would probably get you more engagement, more signups, right? Like you accomplished something. Again, you didn't accomplish anything other than paying for it. And we could hack that too. We could get audio of like what it sounds like and just get in a car and do a selfie video and be like, oh, that's so cool. They just played my ad on the radio. And it was really just played through like our iPhone. That would be funny just to make these stupid videos.
Should do that. We should absolutely do that.
Yeah, we should just fake everything.
I loved learning about Dibyo's TURF product.
Yes, I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I'm going to use it for more serious things, not just mining punk news websites like we were doing before we got on the call. We talked about last week using it for Kingonomics for Rodney Sampson's book, but I didn't plan properly, and I didn't have like a PDF copy downloaded because I have it on my Kindle app and on Apple Books, but I don't have like the content downloaded. So we should do that one day too, especially as it gets stronger. I think that would be a fun experiment.
Yeah, obviously we already have the PDF supports, right? So maybe we can just quickly have a jamming session with the book.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is you give it the book, or even you give it multiple books and references and say, talk to me as if you are Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and let's have a chat, right? And let's see kind of what it thinks and does. And it would be an interesting.
That would be a cool AI for my site. Just
you get all public reference, like ingest all speeches and books and memoirs and things about a person. But here's the thing: is if you gather all of this and you do all of the work and you put it into TURF as a model, you could monetize that. You can make it insanely cheap, or you can make it free or something. But you could also make it a model, and now different people could come to it and go, oh, this is the conversations with Zuda chat, right? And it's a different way to monetize. It could be a product of something like Dreamy, but you don't necessarily need to be the one that collects all the data, gets all the data, does all the stuff. Let other people do it, grab it directly from TURF, make the user interface Dreamy, because you might be better at making a UX for a consumer, right? Because you don't want to send, if I want to talk to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., right? It would be weird for me as a consumer to go, okay, I'm going to go to TURF.network. I'm going to go to sign up. I'm going to see all these data sets. I'm going to search for Dr. Martin Luther King. Somebody like Dreamy could go, we just have 5 people here or 2 people, or maybe just make an interface directly for one person at a time and make it mlk.dreamy.me. Right? Or something like that.
And you know what? I really got this amazing use case while you were talking, and like literally this thing can be done in terms of, let's say, any social app, right? Let's say if you want to meet some friends, let's say it's a dating app, right? And someone is creating a dating app, and you're going ahead and sharing all those data points that you have about the user, and then again query those data from in your app to match make similar white people, right? So where they don't have to think about how they're operating on their data sets and their user base in terms of, let's say, hey, this guy is the right match for this person, right? Rather than doing that, they can literally delegate all these matchmaking to a third-party space, just like you can do it with DEXs, like decentralized exchanges, right? And get the output and utilize it within your app again, right? And this whole funnel can be literally a cycle where the app does not have to do anything. You just have to pay for a query. That's it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think there's so many. Yeah, there's a lot of things, and I think all these tools will enable it. So before we sign off, because I'm now 10 minutes late to the meeting I'm supposed to go to. Dibyo, we put it, it's been scrolling along the bottom, join.turf.network. Any other last minute things?
Yeah, some pure thoughts about, obviously, we today just released the gameplay research paper in our website. It's a pure use case that defined our pivotal journey in terms of utilizing data and how people can monetize it by leveraging TURF, of course. So it's a good day, the whole pivotal journey, and at the same time how the technology behind the infrastructure that we're building is purely drafted in a very great manner. So if anyone is looking up to this, do join the waitlist. And at the same time, if you really want to understand the whole aspect of data composability that we are trying to lead it from the front, that's actually drafted and it's available at TURF.network. Just explore the use cases and go ahead learning about it.
Heck yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Dibyo. Thanks for joining us this week, Zuda. We'll see you both online and talk to you soon. Zuda, any last words, or you did before?
I've lost around 25 pounds since episode 53.
Heck yeah. Congrats. That's great. You know what? And by the way, you could tell more when you're sitting up like that versus laying down, hanging with us like this.
Yep.
You're looking good. Keep it up.
Thanks.
We should meet up somewhere and go on a walk together.
I just walked the beach on Sunday, the entire beach, Cove Harbor.
Nice. Up in Ventura?
Yep.
Nice. That's awesome. That would be a good move. So let's do that soon. I need to go outside.
It's nice to go outside.
Yes. All right, guys. That's great. Great to hear. I'll talk to both of you soon. Peace. Oh, anybody who's joined really late, go to dgb.vc, especially if you're an early stage startup, especially if you want to get involved in all the things that we do. Talk to you soon.